Hi guys, welcome to the practice of Vinyasa. So today I'm going to be using hand weights. My hand weights are 1 kilo. I don't necessarily suggest anything more than 3 kilo, even if you know you can normally lift them quite easily. In yoga, because we hold our arms out, 1 kilo is also quite challenging. So just remember just to collect that size that really works for you. If you haven't got hand weights, you can always use water bottles or cans of beans, anything that will just give you a little bit of extra weight to the arms, and we will be using them into the back of the knees as well to give a little extra weight to the legs. So bring your weights in front of you, bring yourself down into a seated position, place the hands on top of the thighs, close the eyes. Take a roll of the shoulders up towards the ears, then release them back down towards the hips, and take a moment to scan that body from the top of the head down to the fingertips, down to the toe tips. Just having a check-in with how your body feels as you've arrived on your mat. Depending on what time of day that is, it might be an early morning practice for you, in which case that body may feel a little bit stiff from sleeping. It may be that you've had a day at work and your body feels a little fatigued. Just remember to work to the energies of your body and let that practice be your own. Checking in with any injuries, any tight spots, and remembering to be mindful as you move through this practice. I'll just give you a couple of more moments here. When you've taken that scan of the body, bring your attention now to your breath, noticing each inhale and exhale and where it gets sent, whether it's in your collarbones and quite high up in your shoulders, or whether it's down into that lower rib cage, or maybe it's already been sent quite low into the belly. Just working with what your breath wants to do for a moment, no judgment, just witnessing where that breath's sent. Then if you're happy to take that breath a little deeper, try and expand that rib cage as you breathe in, stretching those intercostal muscles. Then as you breathe out, just allow that rib cage to soften and go back to pushing those lungs to release that air back out of either the nose or the mouth. Maybe you can send that breath a little deeper into the belly as you breathe in, pushing that belly away from the spine, letting the air blow the belly up like a balloon on the inhale. And as you breathe out, that belly draws back on the exhale, and use that abdominal contraction to push that diaphragm back up, push those lungs to release that air. Maybe you're doing that full fluid breath. As you breathe in, the chest rises, the rib expands, the belly lifts and blows up like a balloon. Then as you breathe out, that belly, ribs and chest start to soften to squeeze that air back out. Just follow that breath like a wave in towards that belly. And as you breathe out, feel everything soften and release back out. Maybe you can bring that breath in and out through the nose, making that slight restriction at the back of that throat, that Ujjayi breath, that victorious breath, the breath that warms all the internal body. And it helps us connect breath to movement as we flow through the practice of Vinyasa. Having that slight audible sound to yourself allows us to watch as we should be making certain movements. The inhale tends to be extension, and the exhale tends to be flexion, but sometimes that rule does change. But if you go with that, unless I tell you to do otherwise. So as you grow and lift out and up and create length, you inhale, and as you fold, become smaller, it becomes your exhale. Opening the eyes, taking a hold of the hand weights, one in both hands, and just bring them out to the sides of the body. Turn the palms up to the ceiling. Take a breath in, lift the hands up towards the ceiling. Then turn the palms, take a breath out and bring those hands back down to the floor. Turn the palms up, breathe in, send those hands up towards the ceiling. And as you breathe out, turn the palms, send those hands back down to the floor. Turn those hands, bring those hands back up to the ceiling on the inhale. And then turn the hands back down, bring them back towards the floor on the exhale. All the time keeping that back nice and straight, flowing through this movement with breath. Inhale is the extension. Exhale is when everything comes back down. Again, turning the palms as you lift the hands up. Turning the palms down as you take the hands back down. Just do 2 more to your breath. The inhale lifts and the exhale brings those hands back down. Then bring the hands out in front of you, arms shoulder high. Breath in, raise the right hand, keep the left hand where it is. Breath out, release that right hand back to shoulder high. Breath in, raise the left hand. Breath out, release that hand back to meet the right. So I'm actually now going to mirror image you. So your breath in is your left hand. Your breath out brings that hand back down to the floor. Breath in, raise the other hand. Breath out, release it back to shoulder high. Another couple of times on both sides. Really using those deltoid muscles to lift those arms up above the head. One more time on both sides. The inhale lifts, the exhale lowers. The inhale lifts, the exhale lowers. Holding it there in the center. Breath in, open the chest, bring the arms out to the side. Breath out, bring those hands back together. Breath in, open those arms out to the sides. Breath out, bring those hands back to the center. Breath in, open, keep that spine nice and tall. Breath out, bring those hands back to the center. 2 more times. Breath in, open. Breath out, bring back to the center. 1 more time. Breath in, open. Breath out, bring those hands back to the center. Just bring the hands down to the floor, release the weights and just give those arms a little shake. Take them back into the hands, keeping hands down by the sides of the body for a breath. Breathe in, lengthen the spine, breathe out, roll the shoulders back and ground into those sit bones. Breath in, raise up that right hand. Breath out, reach over to the left. Breath in, raise back up. Breath out, bring that hand back down by the side of the body. Breath in, raise the left hand. Breath out, over to the right. Breath in, center. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise the right hand. Breath out, over to the left. Breath in, back to the center. Breath out, release. And again, other side. Breath in, raise. Breath out, lateral flex. Breath in, center. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise the opposite hand. Breath out, over to the side, lateral flexion. Breath in, center. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise the hand. Breath out, over to the side, keep the opposite sit bone grounded. Breath in, back to the center. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise. Breath out, over to lateral flexion. Breath in, back to the center. Breath out, release. Give those hands a shake and arms a shake. And then make your way into a tabletop position. So just bringing both weights to either side of the mat, so they're handy when we need to take a hold of them. So we're just going to do our normal cat-cow movement here, tops of the feet flat. Nice long line from the crown of the head down to the tailbone. Widen the fingers, soften the elbows. Breath in, lift up the head, lift up the bum, drop the belly. Breath out, fold everything back in, chin to chest, tailbone tucks. Breath in, raise the head, raise the bum, drop the belly. Breath out, fold everything back in, chin to chest. And again, raise that head, raise that bum, drop that belly. Breath out, fold everything in, chin to chest, tailbone tucks. Come back to a neutral space, tabletop position. Take one hand weight and just bring it into the crease of the left knee and just bend that leg to hold that weight. Take the other weight into the opposite hand. So I'm left knee, right hand. Lift up the right hand to ear high and lift up the left knee to hip high. Hold it here for a breath. Try and squeeze the ribs and hips towards each other. Keep pushing forward with that right hand, lifting up with that left knee. And your next breath out, crunch everything in, chin to chest, nose to knee. Then lengthen back out and lift that left leg, lift that right arm. Knee to hip height, keep supported in the centre, and then fold it back in. Elbow to knee, nose to knee, chin to chest. And raise back out again, knee of the left lifts up to hip height, right hand forward. And then fold it back in one more time. And lengthen back out one more time. Then bring that right hand down, that left knee down, and swap the weight over. So this time the weight goes into the crease of the right knee. And we bend that leg slightly to hold that weight. Bring your right hand down, take a hold of the weight in the left hand, supported in that right hand and left knee. Lift the left arm up to shoulder height, lift the right knee to hip height. Hold it there for a couple of breaths. Push into that right hand. Try not to sink the belly. Lift that left arm as high as you can to take that gaze of the bicep out of the eyesight. And then fold it in. Bring that elbow to the knee and squeeze. Lengthen back out, bring the knee back to hip height, arm back to shoulder height, and then bring it back in, elbow to knee and squeeze. Raise again back up. Try not to sink the belly. Fold back in, elbow to knee and squeeze. Lift that arm back up, knee back up to hip height, squeeze the belly back, and then bring that elbow to knee for the last time. Reach out for the last time and bring that left hand down, remove that weight, bring the knee down and remove that weight from the knee. Just bring them to either side of the mat. So stepping both feet back to a plank position, start to paddle those feet as we start to lift up those hips. Squeezing one heel down at a time, having a nod and a shake of the head. And then we'll take it through a few choices of Vinyasa. So bringing the heels to stillness, pushing those chests back, making sure the hands are shoulder width apart, feet are hip width apart. Nice long line from the fingertips to the tailbone and from the tailbone to the heels. Not all the time can heels come down. You may need to softly bend the knees if you need to help with that lower back. So if the back is arching like this, bend the knees, lift the tailbone a little more, push the chest back towards those thighs. If you're happy to straighten the legs so we get that A-shaped position. Come forward to a plank on the inhale. Option 1, drop down the knees, turn the creases of the elbows forward, release to the floor. Untuck the toes, lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under those toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So you can stick with option 1 if you wish, or option 2. Come forward to a plank on your inhale. Release to lowering to the floor with a straight body, elbows graze the ribs. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release the chest down, tuck under the toes, bring the chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So you can either stick with option 1 or option 2, or if you're coming with me, option 3. Come forward to a plank on the inhale. Release down, to hover, elbow height, roll over the toes, lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back, thighs stay away. Then take it back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Have a little nod and a shake of the head. And then come down onto the knees. Take your right hand weight and place that right hand weight into the inside crease of that right knee. And then from here, taking it up to a one-legged down dog, lifting that knee up, just so it's about hip high. Take a breath out, bring that knee to the nose and squeeze. Then lift that right leg again, up to hip high, and then squeeze that knee into the chest. And lift that leg back up to hip high. Knee into the chest. Lift that leg back up to hip high. Hold it there for a breath. Maybe spin and open that leg out, but make sure you're holding onto that hand weight. Then realign those hips, bring the knee to the chest and squeeze. Then come down onto the knees. Remove the hand weight from behind the right leg and place it in the left crease of the knee. Make your way up to a one-legged dog, keeping that left knee bent. Breathe in, lift the leg up to hip height. Breathe out, bring that knee to the chest and squeeze. Lift that leg back up to the ceiling. Bring that knee to hip height and squeeze. Make sure you hold onto that weight by squeezing that back of the leg towards, the back of the calf towards the hamstring. One more time, lifting that leg. And then bring it back to hip height. Open the knee out to the side, squeezing that foot towards the bum. Realign the hips. Bring that knee to the nose and squeeze. Then release that knee to the floor. Both knees to meet and bring that hand weight just to the outside of the mat. So both hand weights now are either side of the mat. We step back to a plank position and hold it here for a couple of breaths. Tether those ribs and hips towards each other. Squeeze the bum, engage the thighs to activate those lower legs and upper legs. Then paddle the feet as you lift up with those hips. Paddling those feet one at a time in our downward facing dog position. Bring those heels to stillness. Your next breath in, we raise up that right leg. Bend the knee, stack the hip. Realign the hip, bring the knee to the chest. Step in between the hands, drop the back knee, uncurl the back toes. Take a hold of the hand weights and bring the shoulders up over those hips. Raise the arms up towards the ceiling and then sink into those hips a little lower. Turn the palms forward, breathe in, breathe out, cactus the arms. Breathe in, raise those hands back up to the ceiling. Breathe out, cactus the arms. Take the gaze upwards. Breathe in, raise the hands. Breathe out, cactus the arms. One more time, breathe in, lengthen. Breathe out, cactus the arms and hold. Hold it there for a couple of breaths. Then release the hands down, the weights to either side of the mat. Bring the hands to the floor, tuck the toes under. Step your right leg back to a plank. And then finish off your Vinyasa choice. I'm option 1, releasing the knees, untucking the toes. Elbows graze the ribs. Breath in, lifts the chest. Breath out, release back to the floor, tuck the toes under, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Your next breath in, raise the left leg. Bend the knee, stack the hip, turn the hips to the left, shoulders aligned to the front of the mat. Realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest. Keep the hips high as you step that left foot through. Drop down onto the back knee and uncurl those back toes. Take a hold of the hand weights. Your breath in raises the hands up towards the ceiling, sink into the hips. Breathe in, elongate. Turn the palms forward, breathe out, cactus the arms. Breathe in, raise the hands back up to the ceiling. Breathe out, cactus the arms, lift the chest. Breathe in, raise. Breathe out, squeeze those shoulders together, shoulder blades together, cactus the arms. Breathe in and lengthen. Breathe out, cactus the arms and hold. Widen through those pectoral muscles. Squeeze those rhomboids. Tuck that tailbone down. Try not to flare too much with the ribs. Then release the hands down. Weights down. Hands by the side of that left foot. Untuck the back knee. Step back to a plank. And Vinyasa of your choice. Release down. Straight body. Roll over the toes. Lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog, either lifting straight through those hips or coming chest back to thighs, downward facing dog position. Your next breath in, raise that right leg. Bend the knee, stack the hips. Realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest. Step that right foot through. This time staying off the back knee, take a hold of the hand weights. Your breath in raises the hands to the ceiling. Turn the palms forward. Breath out, cactus the arms, lift the chest. Breath in, raise those hands. Breath out, cactus that chest, cactus those arms. Breath in, raise the hands. That back leg's nice and straight. That chest is lifted. We're pushing into that front foot and the whole of the back foot. The next time you come to cactus arms, hold it here. Then sweep the arms forward. Release the hands down, the weights down. Both hands down to either side of the right foot, step back to plank. And Vinyasa, your choice here. Maybe you come all the way to the floor. Lift up the chest on the inhale. Maybe bring the chest back down, chest back to thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift the hips, squeeze those heels back. Or paddle those feet if you wish. Finding your favoured downward facing dog. Bring those heels to stillness. Your next breath in, raise that left leg. Bend the knees, stack the hips. Then realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest, keep the hips high. Then bring that left foot in between the hands. Help it forward with the left hand if you need to. Take a hold of the hand weights. Breath in, raises those hands to the ceiling. Turn the palms. Breath out, cactus the arms. Breath in, raise the hands. Back legs nice and straight. Breath out, cactus the arms. Front knees bent. Breath in, raise those hands. Breath out, cactus the arms. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Breath in, raise those hands. Breath out, cactus the arms and hold. Stay bent in that front knee. Then bring the hands around to the front. Palms come together. Release the hands down. The weights either side of the mat. Step back to plank. And a Vinyasa of your choice. Maybe you wish to hover this time. Rolling over the toes, lifting the chest. Making our way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Remembering taking whatever choice you wish. Coming down onto the knees. Either finding child's pose, or maybe take this time to take on a little bit of water if you wish. Always remembering to have water at hand. Take your breaks whenever you need to. Vinyasa is always a good time to take these breaks. So, making our way back to down dog. Placing the hands back forward, stepping the feet back, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Have a little nod and shake of the head. Maybe a little paddle through those feet. Then bring those heels to stillness, getting ready for our next flow. Your next breath in, raise that right leg, bend the knees, stack the hips. Realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest. Gaze in between the hands as you step that foot through. Take a hold of the weights. Drop your back heel down. Windmill the left arm up and over to find warrior two. So arms come in line with the shoulders. You're either holding weights if you wish or not. We bend into that right knee. We sink the hips. Tuck the bums under. Draw those tailbones down towards the floor. Tether the ribs and hips towards each other. That right knee turns out. So if the shoulders start to fatigue, just bring those hands to the hips or lose the weights if you wish. Breath in brings those hands back to the ceiling. We straighten the front leg. Breath out, turn the palms back down. Find warrior two, legs and arms. Turn the palms up, bring the hands back up to the ceiling. Turn the palms down and find warrior two, arms and legs. Two more times. Turn the palms up, straighten the front leg, hands come together at the top. Turn the palms down, come back to warrior two. One more time. Turn the palms up, straighten up through that front leg. Turn the palms down, find warrior two and hold. So that chest should be in the centre of both feet and it should be stacking on top of the pubic bone and underneath the crown of the head. Again, if those arms fatigue, bring them back to the hips. Your next breath out, windmill the hands down, either side of that front foot, release the weights. Step back to a plank and follow a vinyasa of your choice. For me, option one, drop in the knees. I'm going to lift the feet, bring the chest down to the mat. Place the feet down, come into a back bend, lift the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under those toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift at the hips. Squeeze those heels back. Have a little paddle. Nod and shake of those heads. So making sure you're trying to use that Ujjayi breath, that nose breathing if you can. I'm using obviously the mouth as I'm doing lots of talking, but normally in my own practice, when I'm either doing a follow video or doing a practice of my own, I always use the nose. So your next breath in, raise that left leg. Bend the knee, stack the hips, realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest. Step it through, helping it if it needs to. Stabilise the feet, take the hand weights into the hands if you're using them. Then windmill that right arm up and over, drop the back heel and find warrior two. Sink into that left knee. Try to get that left thigh parallel to the floor, the arms parallel to the floor, the gaze towards that left hand. Then turn the palms up. As you breathe in, straighten the front leg, lift the hands to the ceiling. Turn the palms down, and as you breathe out, take a bend back in the knee, hands back to warrior two. And keep that flowing to your breath. Inhale, we lift the arms, straighten the leg. Exhale, turn the palms back down, bend the knee, arms back to shoulder high. Two more times, raise the hands. Really working these deltoid muscles in the shoulders by adding that extra weight. Bums are tucked under, belly's drawn back. Really working the strength in those legs, that core, as we then hold our warrior two. Pushing energy into the outside of that back foot and into the sole of that left foot. One more breath here. Then windmill the hands down, either side of that front foot, release the weights. Bring the hands either side of the foot, step it back to plank and do a vinyasa of your choice. I'm option two. Releasing down to the floor, straight bodies. Roll through and up and lift up the chest. Making my way back to down dog, chest to thighs. Pushing into those hands and feet as I lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Have a little nod and shake of the heads. Then make your way into our next flow. Your breath in raises that right leg, bends the knee, stacks the hip. Realign the hip, bring the knee to the chest. Step that right foot through, help it through if you need to. Take a hold of the hand weights. Drop the back heel, windmill the left arm up and over, this time straightening through both legs. Arms shoulder height. Reach forward with the right hand, bring it to the inside of the right leg. Left hand lifts, palm faces forward on both hands. Then take it back to a reverse triangle. So lift those torsos back to the centre, then send the right hand up, the left hand down the back of the left leg. And then turn those palms back forward and take it back to triangle. Really using that oblique strength. Try not to lock out that right leg. Your next breath in, raise the shoulders over the hips and send it back to reverse triangle. Bring those shoulders back over the hips, arms shoulder height, and back to triangle pose. Left arm lifts, right hand goes down the inside of that right leg. One more time, raise those shoulders. Take it back to reverse triangle. And then bring yourself back to warrior two legs. Windmill the hands down, either side of that front foot. Step the right foot back to meet the left. And take a vinyasa of your choice. I'm taking option 3. Roll over the toes, lift up the chest. Making our way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Having a little paddle, nod and shake of those heads. Bringing those heels then back to stillness. And we take that triangle and reverse triangle on the other side. Breath in, raises the left leg. Bends the knee, stacks the hips. Realign the hips, bring the knee to the chest. Gaze in between the hands, step that foot through. Keep the hips high as you step through. Drop the back heel, take a hold of the hand weights, lead with the right hand. First of all, on warrior two arms, then straighten that front leg. Reach forward and down with the left hand as the right hand lifts. Both palms facing towards that right side of the room. Then bring those shoulders back over the hips, send that left hand up to our reverse triangle. Take it back to triangle. That left hand to the inside of that left leg, right hand lifts. And take it back to reverse. Lifting and using those obliques to transition through one pose to another. Take it back to triangle. Lift the right hand, drop the left. And then back to reverse triangle. Left hand lifts, right hand drops. Bring it back to warrior two arms. Bend into that front knee. Then windmill the hands down. Either side of that front foot, release the weights, step the left foot back and take a choice of vinyasa of yours, or maybe take a drink. I'm option 1. Elbows come by the sides of the body, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into those hands and feet as you lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. And then just coming down onto the knees. If you wish to do another vinyasa at this point, feel free to do so. I'm just going to take on a little bit of water, or we can all meet back in child's pose if you wish. So keeping those weights just at the sides of the mat, we're going to do a wide leg forward fold. But we're not going to fold all the way over the legs. We're going to keep it to that tabletop position with the back and start to do the lift out with those weights. So again, if you don't want to use the weights, leave the weights be and just use your own body weight to do the fly lifts. So making your way back to downward facing dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Your breath in, we raise up with that right leg. We bring the knee to the chest, gaze in between the hands, step that right foot through. Take a hold of the weights, Raise the hands up to the ceiling. Drop the back heel and find yourself in a wide leg standing position. So just making sure your toes are in front of the heels. The hands are by the sides of the body at the moment. Relax the shoulders, lengthen out through the crown. Breathe in. Breathe out, come to a half fold. Bring the hands then down, weights towards the floor. Palms both facing in. Your breath in raises those hands. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise the hands. Use those rhomboid muscles to lift those arms, those triceps, and release on your out breath. Bend the knees if you need to. Breath in, raise the arms. Breath out and release. Breath in, raise those arms. Breath out and release. So if you need to use a block, use a block. Bring one hand down onto the block or the weight or the floor and turn your left palm forward. Breath in, raise that left arm up to the chest. Bicep curls. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise. Breath out, release. Breath in and raise. Breath out, release. One more time. Breath in, raise. Breath out, release. Bring that hand of the left down. Take a hold of the weight with the left hand. Turn the palm forward. Breath in, raise that weight to the chest. Breath out, release. Breath in, raise. Breath out, release. Breath in and raise. Breath out, release. All the time getting that hamstring stretch through the back of those legs. Remember, you can use the block to hold those hands and place them to the floor. Once you've done 4 on this side, stabilise the feet, bring a bend into the knees, bring the weights into the centre, curl through that back. As you start to roll up, one vertebra at a time, bring yourself to standing and roll the shoulders back. Breath in, raise the arms up to shoulder height. Breath out, release those arms back to the thighs. Breath in, raise the arms to shoulder height. Breath out, hands back to the thighs. Breath in, roll up to shoulder height. Keep those tailbones tucked down, those bellies back towards the spine. Breath out, release the hands to the thighs. One more time, up to shoulder height and hold. And then turn back to your warrior 2. Hold it in warrior 2 for a couple of breaths. If those shoulders are starting to feel tight, bring them back to the hips. Keeping the strength of those shoulders, lifting those weights. Straightening the arms with the triceps. Lifting the arms with those deltoid muscles. One more breath here. Then windmill the hands down, either side of that front foot. Step back to a plank position and flow a vinyasa of your choice. Maybe come to a hover. Roll over the toes, lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. So we're going to take that another time on that left side. I'm just going to change position so I'm still facing the front of the camera, but you can stay where you are. Your next breath in, raise up with that left leg. Bring that knee to the chest. Gaze in between those hands as you step that left foot through. Take a hold of the weights in both hands. Raise the arms up towards the ceiling into our high lunge, crescent lunge position. And then turn the hips and the shoulders. This time have the toes pointing out. Bring the arms into the chest, palms facing inward, and then track the knees towards the toes. Taking the bums low, tucking the tailbones and hooking them down. Ribs and hips tethered. Breath in. Breath out, release those hands down to elbow height. Breath in, raise them back towards the chest. Breath out, hands back to elbow height. Breath in, raise them back to the chest, all the time staying low in that seat. into that sumo squat, using the breath to move the arms, biceps working, lifting those weights. Bums tucked under. Sink into those knees, maybe a little more. Keep using the glutes on the outside of those hips to open those knees out a little further, stretching the inside of those groins. And then the next time you bring those hands to the chest, straighten up through the legs. Bring the arms out to shoulder height. Turn back to those left toes. Find warrior two. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Maybe those deltoid muscles on the shoulders are starting to fatigue. Maybe the legs are starting to feel a little tired. But really work through it. Unless you really need to come out of the pose, try and hold it for one more breath. Then windmill the hands down, either side of that front foot, place the weights down. Step the left foot back to meet the right. And take a flow of Vinyasa of your choice. I'm dropping the knees and lifting the feet, bringing the elbows in to release to the floor. Bring the feet back down, lift the chest. Make your way back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing the sit bones towards the feet, and lifting the hips back to down dog. Take a bend back in the knees. Just take a moment here. You can do another Vinyasa if you don't wish to take a break. Or take on some water or find child's pose if you wish for a couple of breaths. Bringing the foreheads to the mat. Seat to feet, knees nice and wide apart. So just taking a couple of more restorative breaths before we go into our standing balance. So our standing balance is going to be a variation of Warrior 3. Have your hand weights down by the sides of the mat again. And when you're ready, finding your way back into downward facing dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Taking a gaze back towards the toes, the knees or the hips to get a stretch through the back of that neck. Your next breath in, raise that right leg up towards the ceiling. Bring the knee to the chest. Gaze in between those hands and step that right foot through. Take a hold of the weights. Raise them up to the ceiling, coming up to our high lunge crescent position. Then stepping onto that right foot. Bringing your left knee forward. Holding your hands up high for a couple of breaths. Keeping that left knee lifted up to hip height for a couple of breaths and that left toes back to the shins. One more breath here. Then bring the hands to the chest. Send your left foot back towards the back of the mat, keeping it lifted, bringing the torso parallel to the floor. Release the arms to become heavy with the weights. Both hips nice and stable and in the centre, so not lifting the left hip higher than the right. Left heel back towards the shins. Breathe in, raise the right hand. Breathe out and let it lower. Breathe in, raise the left hand. Breathe out, let it lower. Breathe in, raise both. Breathe out, let them lower. Breathe in, raise the left hand. Breathe out, let it lower. Breathe in, raise the right hand. Breathe out, let it lower. Breathe in, raise both hands. Breathe out, let it lower. Breathe in, widen the arms up to shoulder height. Breathe out, let them lower. One more time, breathe in, open the arms. Breathe out, let it lower. Release the hand weights by the sides of the mat. Step the left foot back, step the right foot back to meet the left. And take a flow Vinyasa of your choice. For me, it's option 3, Chaturanga. Rolling over the toes, lifting up the chest. All the way back to down dog. Have a little shake of the head, paddle through the feet. Then squeeze those heels back. Ready to take that pose on the opposite side. Your breath in raises the left leg. Bring the knee to the chest. Step in between the hands with that left foot. Take a hold of the weights. Raise the arms up to your high crescent lunge. Step forward onto that left foot and bring your right foot through. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Relaxing through the shoulders, lengthening through the arms. Stabilise into that grounded left foot. Then bring the hands to the chest. Reach back with that right leg. Try and keep those hips nice and level, the back leg nice and straight. Release the hands down towards the floor. And just let those arms hang long. Breath in, raise the right arm. Breath out and lower. Breath in, raise the left. Breath out and lower. Breath in, both. Breath out, lower. Keep the hips level. Breath in, raise the right hand. Breath out, lower. Breath in, raise the left hand. Breath out, lower. Breath in, raise both. Breath out, lower. Breath in, raise the arms up and out to the side. Breath out, lower. Breath in, raise the hands. And breath out, lower. Release the weights to the side of the mat, the foot to the back of the mat. Step the left foot back to meet the right. And take a vinyasa of your choice, or water if you wish. This is the last vinyasa of the class. Rolling through, lifting up the chest. Releasing back down, tuck under the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into those hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So making your way onto your bum, either swinging the legs around or just jumping the feet through. Take a hold of your weights. Have your feet flat, knees slightly bent, arms out to shoulder height. And slowly let that back curl down towards the floor. These weights should help you counterbalance the pose a little bit. It may take a little bit of stress off that core centre because we're making those limbs a little heavier. As we bring those shoulders to the mat and the heads to the floor, bring one weight or both weights, depending on what you wish to do. Both weights obviously make it a little harder. It will work those glutes a little stronger. Bring the feet in towards the bum, almost a hand width away. Toes face forward. Keep the hands on the hips, elbows away if you wish, or use the elbows for support. Remember, one weight or two or no weights at all. Then push into those feet, slowly curl up through those hips. On your inhale, pushing those hips nice and high. Then on your exhale, slowly let those hips come back down to the mat. Try not to let those knees splay any further than hip width apart. Breath in, raise those hips. Back up towards the ceiling. Use those hand weights as a little extra weight. Squeeze the bums at the top and then slowly let those bums come back down towards the floor. One more time. Push those hips back up towards the ceiling. This time hold it in full extension. Relaxing the shoulders, elbows away, so we've got no support from the arms. We're just using the bums to lift those hips nice and high. And then on your out breath, slowly let those bums come back down to the mat. Just make sure you have a little space behind the back of your head. Feet stay in the same position. Hands come back to the hand weights. And just bring those hand weights down to the floor and turn the palms up towards the ceiling. Feet are still hip width apart, gaze is still up towards the ceiling. Push into the feet, slowly raise those hips. Bring them all the way up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, slowly raise those hands up and over the head. Then turn those palms, breath in, raise the hips, raise the arms to the ceiling. Breath out, turn the palms, lift them up and lower those hips. Turn the palms up to the ceiling, breath in, lift the hands, then bring them back down by the sides of the body. Breath out, turn the palms up, release the hips down, lift the hands up and over the head. Start to turn the hands as they come to the floor. Breath in, raise the hips, lift the arms. Turn the palms up, breath out, release back to the floor. Breath in, turn the palms, lift those hands back up to the ceiling, squeeze those bums as tight as you can. Breath out, release those bums back to the floor. Hands come back up and over the head. Turn the palms back up and just allow everything to relax here for a couple of breaths. Take a few windscreen wipes from one side to the other. If those elbows aren't comfortable straight, bring them into cactus arms with those weights. And then bringing both knees up and over the hips, holding the feet and knees in this position. Bring the arms out nice and wide. Breath in, bring those hands back into the centre. Breath out, release those arms back to the floor. Shoulders feel a little tight, lose the weights. Breath in, bring those hands back to the ceiling. Breath out, slowly with control, release them to the floor. The slower you take it, the more you control that muscle. The more that muscle will get stronger. The quicker you do it, you rely on momentum. So really controlling it as you release back to the mat. And again, raise those hands back up to the ceiling. And release those hands back to the floor. Release those weights by the side of the mat. Bring the hands to the inside, the elbows to the inside of the knees. Take a hold of either the shins, the ankles, the outsides of the feet. Let the shoulders relax down. Maybe take a rock of that body from side to massage that spine, thanking it for practice. And then bringing those legs back to stillness. Squeeze those knees in towards those armpits, the thighs in towards the ribs. Just take a couple more breaths here. Then release those feet to the floor. Let the knees drop out to the sides for a couple of breaths. If you wish, just take those weights and pop them to the inside of those thighs to maybe weight those legs a little further to help with the stretch, but check in with the lower backs when you've done so. One more breath in this position. And release, if you're holding those weights, still release them down by the sides of you. Bring the feet long to the ends of the mat. Turn the palms up. Push into the heels, tuck the tailbone down. That lower spine pushes into the mat. Give a little rock of the hips from side to side. Take a turn of the head in one direction. Bring it back through centre. Take it over to the opposite side. Bring it back into the middle. Take a scan of the body, and if you're holding any tension anywhere, just give that muscle a squeeze and then let that muscle release. Taking a long breath in through the nose Out through the mouth. Another deep breath. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And again, in through the nose. Out through the mouth. And let that body relax from the top of the head through to the neck, to that space in between the shoulder blades, down into that lower spine and into the sacrum, that base of the spine. Relax through the hips, the chest, ribs and belly. Let the thighs become soft. The calves holding no tension. The feet just dropping out to the side with a little space between each toe. Palms facing up, fingers gently curled. Relax the face, the jaw. Close the eyes, let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth and let those lips gently part. Let the whole body be supported by the floor. Every out breath, feel a little more grounding into the mat. If you wish to stay in relaxation for a little longer, just make sure when you're ready to come out, you wriggle your fingers, your toes, you maybe take a full body stretch. Be aware of the senses of the body: touch, smell, sight, sound and taste. In the meantime, have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.